G'day guys and girls, welcome back to SideQuest Gaming, where we take a look at both old games and new to try and uncover some of those little hidden gems you might want to give a crack and try out for yourself. Today we're doing our weekly wrap-up, where we're taking a bit of a look at some of the games that we've seen throughout this week. First up, we have Don't Escape 4 Days to Survive. Don't Escape 4 Days to Survive is a post-apocalyptic point-and-click survival adventure game with branching storylines and heavy decision-making. Basically, you've got kind of 4 days until the world ends, even though it's already a bit in the post-apocalypse. Every choice you make, whether to fortify your shelter, explore, conserve food, whatever it is, affects how you live or die, or whether you live or die. Resource and time management are everything to this game. It really is focused on you utilizing your time between each night in the most effective way possible. The art style is pixelated and gritty but expressive, while the sound design is atmospheric and tense. The pressure to plan every step is both stressful and incredibly rewarding. The multiple endings give great replay value, and Don't Escape is one of those hidden indie gems that punches far above its weight in terms of price point and narrative depth. It's quite an intriguing little game, and definitely worth your time to have a bit of a look if you're into these kind of narrative-driven point-and-click adventures. Dungeon of the Endless. Dungeon of the Endless is a hybrid tower defense, roguelike, and squad-based kind of dungeon crawler. It's set in a sci-fi prison ship crash scenario where you've kind of crash landed on this planet and you're working your way up through levels and levels via an elevator. It's set in the Endless universe, which if you've played any other Endless games, you'll be quite familiar with that kind of lore and the resource system in those games. You explore dungeon rooms, gather resources, place defenses, and fight off waves and waves of enemies as you level up your characters throughout the run. All the time, it is about managing risk, economy, and positioning, and the pixel art feels retro but polished with a distinct character, style, and moody visuals. There's a really energetic electronic soundtrack with punchy effects in the background too. Dungeon of the Endless is deep, tactical, and punishing, but incredibly satisfying once you grasp the rhythm. It's absolutely shown to its best when played in co-op. There is tons of replayability, unlockable characters, and genuinely challenging design, which makes this one of those games that you keep coming back to for another run year after year after year. Definitely worth looking at. It's one of those hidden gems that's really overlooked and really fun to play with a friend. Wartile. Wartile is a real-time with pause tactical strategy game set in Norse mythology, styled like a living tabletop board game. You move figurine-like units on a hex-based diorama. Real-time cooldown-based combat requires quick thinking and positioning, and the gorgeous diorama visuals really make everything stand out. Everything kind of looks handcrafted, like miniatures on a display shelf brought to life, though the UI can feel a bit undercooked compared to the rest of the design. Great strategy game for fans looking for something a little bit different and visually rich. The gameplay loop is enjoyable and strategic, and the story is surprisingly compelling. Definitely worth a look for fans of kind of a Norse sort of aesthetic Viking storytelling. Civilisation VI. Civ 6 is a turn-based 4X strategy game covering all of human history, from ancient tribes to space colonization. The reason we looked at this title this week was that it was free on Epic Games at the time of the video, and was a great opportunity to look into the classic 4X elements of explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. In Civ 6, you build cities, research tech, form alliances, or betray them. Every decision impacts the long game. A pleasant surprise was Sean Bean's narration to the dynamic soundtrack that evolves with your civilization, a really fantastic addition. Ash of Gods Redemption. Ash of Gods is a tactical RPG with visual novel elements in a grim fantasy world dealing with fate, sacrifice, and survival. It is very heavily inspired by the Banner Saga, with hand-drawn animations and dramatic somber palettes. If you liked the Banner Saga, it's a very similar sort of style. Ash of Gods features turn-based grid combat mixed with branching narrative choices. Moral choices often have life or death consequences, and RNG plays a role in all your decisions. The combat system has an interesting blend of energy and health, where once a character expends all their energy, they then take double damage from any attack. This provides an interesting balance between using abilities and preserving energy. There is also a card-based magic system that you can use in between combat turns to influence the sway of battle. If you're into dark, choice-based storytelling with turn-based tactics, there's a lot to love, though sometimes the RNG can feel a bit frustrating. It's very solid for what you get, especially if you get it on sale. Personally, the main weakness I felt from my time with it was the storytelling consistency. The world building is very intriguing, but sometimes the direction that the story would move in would feel a bit unexpected or poorly telegraphed. On the other hand, those looking for something to scratch that Banner Saga itch, this just might be the one for you. Anyway, this has been the weekly wrap-up. Thank you, as always, for spending the time with me, and hopefully you found these summaries a little bit helpful to help expand your repertoire of games that might interest you. I've linked all my first impression videos below. We also hit 100 uploads in 100 days this week, and there's a link below to my ramble about the future of the channel and my thoughts on the journey so far, in case you might be interested. As always, have an amazing day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.